and you guys can give me any feedback you want, but just like, please don't be mean.
It's terrible.
I was in a writers group where people were really like really awful to each other. And it was like, I'm
Really?
not sharing anything here.
That's
Yeah. I love this group. Yeah.
okay. So, oops, I spelled your name wrong.
It's okay. Mhm.
Okay. Kerri's point. The closer you, well, first of all, what are you looking for from our conversation?
I don't, I'm not sure. I guess I just want your opinion on it because I went over my point with you a couple of sessions ago and I was really
Hmm.
confused and you gave me some pointers. So I was able to
Mm,
condense it into this.
okay.
So yes, yeah, but this is like, I guess my working point for now.
Okay. The closer you are to your inner source of good, your true self and connection to all humanity, the more you can love and understand yourself and others. The more you reject yourself and form a false identity, the more vulnerable you are to control and deception, and the further you can stray from your inner source of good. And like the more you can hurt others. Okay. You have a responsibility to yourself not to let other people hurt you. Okay. So these two sentences feel really um, cohesive. Like I can see how they're connected to each other. I could also see how, based on what you've shared about your books, like how these ideas impact your book or come into play through your book. I'm wondering about this. You have a responsibility to yourself, not to let other people hurt you.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Well, as of now, like my main character, she has the fawn response for her older sister, which is the fawn response is basically like it's you can't run, you can't fight, so you just appease. Okay, and that's her
Mm,
relationship with her older sister. So that's one of the points of the book that your first responsibility is to yourself. And
mm,
like don't be a martyr, don't let anybody talk you into being a martyr. And just remember to put yourself first as far as your first responsibility is to your body, not to let anyone hurt you or
hmm.
but yeah, that I know that's like not connected to that, but it's an important point for me.
Okay.
Mhm.
This may not be something you're planning to address in
Mm.
the books, the series. But a question that comes up for me is what about when people do hurt you, and you didn't want, it's like totally against your will.
Sure. You have to get away from them. Like if you can't fight, you have a responsibility to distance yourself from them somehow. And
Hmm.
yeah, sometimes you can't get away from them. Okay, sometimes they just take you, right? And a lot about predators and prey. Okay, like the line
Mm.
between when you're prey and when you're a predator.
Mm.
Haven't I think that's kind of a, a secondary point. Okay, the
That's
idea that
very interesting.
you can choose to be a predator or not. You can't always choose to be prey, not to be prey.
Oh. Uh, okay. Um, okay, so there's a lot of complexity in this, right? In real life, like what
Yeah.
this looks like, how much agency you have over your life, how much control, whether you have the power to get out of a situation and all that kind of stuff. You may or may not choose to explore some of that nuance in your book,
Mhm.
Kerri. I think this idea of predator and prey is so interesting because this it's about this, right? This is how you become the predator.
Yeah. And
And this kind of not doing this is how you become the prey.
um yeah, if you let other people hurt you, I mean you become the prey. Although sometimes they're
Hmm.
in that position anyway.
Right.
My main character grew up in that position. And she learns not to be prey, but she also learns not to be a predator.
Mm.
Because might she becomes a predator in like the last three quarters of the book and then understands that that's also the wrong way. So she kind of goes through the full cycle of, first she's prey and she gets some self-esteem and some self-confidence, goes way overboard with it. And, starts becoming a hurtful person. And then gains an understanding, has an epiphany, and, becomes balanced about it. Oh, Erin, thank you.
So I wonder so here's a very abbreviated version of this, which you don't have to use, whatever. This is just a shorter way of kind of summing up, which would be, you have the power to choose whether to be predator or prey. And the closer you are to your inner source of good, the more likely you are to be neither.
Yes,
that's not a good.
That's actually my point. I mean, that's because when you're really clear and you understand yourself and you see other people clearly instead of being so trapped in your own insecurities and your false identity that you can't see them anymore. That's when you can become a predator without realizing it. Because if you don't see people accurately, you don't know how much you're hurting them sometimes. So being a predator is always a choice. I guess not always, but mostly. Because if you're so wrapped up in yourself that you can't see anybody else, you might not even know you're a predator. And that's actually, that's like the main character's friend. Doesn't realize she's kind of a predator for a while.
Right. And so for both the predator and the prey, the way out of that is to become get closer to your inner source of good, right? And to do this.
See yourself and others more accurately. I mean, realize like we're all connected. We're not separate where we have to be predator and prey.
Okay. So this idea of predator and prey, I think, is really powerful. I don't know. For me, it's like, oh my gosh, I love this. So Kerri, this is, does this feel like too much to be your point? Is it?
I don't know, because it might be wordy, but it is my point. And I know you have a responsibility not to let other people hurt you is kind of disconnected, but it's wordy, but I think it is my point because it's something that many of the characters do. The characters are on different planes with this idea. Nobody really sees each other accurately because they can't see outside of themselves in different ways.
Could your point be this? So we're keeping this first part and kind of adding on this predator or prey.
Yes. Dani, thank you so much. So I really wasn't expecting to get this much out of it. I just kind of wanted to share. So thank you, because this is more cohesive, and this is the closest thing I have to my point for now.
Okay, good.
I mean,
Yay.
Yeah.
So Kerri, everybody, the point is for you, and we don't want our point to be like 8 pages long because that's too many thoughts, right? But Kerri, if all of these elements are essential for you to remember what your story is about and to remind you of where you're heading and what's most important, then this is fantastic.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
because that's one of my themes. Every character in the book misunderstands themselves at some point, and that affects the way they view others and treat others.
Okay, so can you read this, Kerri, for us?
Okay. The closer you are to your inner source of good, your true self and connection to all humanity, the more you can love and understand yourself and others. The more you reject yourself and form a false identity, the more vulnerable you are to control and deception, and the further you can stray from your inner source of good and hurt others. Okay, we just become a predator maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You have the power to choose whether to be predator or prey. Okay, like, yeah, and the closer you are to your inner source of good, the more likely you are to be neither. Yeah, to be balanced.
Mm. Do you want that to say to be balanced?
Um, no, I think neither is clearer for to make me understand, to help me
Okay.
understand.
Okay, cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let me send you this doc in the
You.
chat.